in Holland, we have a lot of Indonesian community. Many young people didn't know about their background because in some Indo family, because of the trauma from the past, they don't talk about Indonesia. So when those kids grow up and then they realize like, hey man, I've got tan skin, I look different than European or Dutch people. So the interest in Indonesia came up when they growing up. So and then they're starting also interesting in different cultural things from Indonesia. And then when they want to get tattooed and they come to me, most of the time I ask them first, like, hey, you Indo? Where your parents come from? You know, you're from Java, from Bali, from Sumatra, from Kalimantan. And when I know their background, I'm searching for the information or the pattern of the motif where their parents came from. So and then from that point I make a customized design for them, so that it makes feel them like, hey, I'm back home, or you know, with the tattoo they have, it's remind them who they are. So it's a noble job actually, right? So my name is David Francky Kalalo. I'm born in Indonesia but live, work for quite a long time in Holland, the Netherlands. Working, actually I was graduate as fashion designer in a fine art school in Utrecht. But after a couple of years working in the fashion, I was thinking what like, it's not really my thing, because I don't like the fashion environment. It's just like backstabbing. It's so mean world, you know. So and during my work in Bali, because in the past we work a lot in Bali to produce clothes, pants, shirt, and all that kind of things. I get more interesting also in tattooing, because that was back in the day when we were working in Bali. Get tattoo, it was only our free time. So and bit by bit get more interesting in tattooing. I think 13, 14, 15 years ago, it's quite difficult to have apprentice on someone. So for me, because I have creative background, and I thought by myself, well, why I don't try by myself? So, and I just buy it, you know, a set, tattooing set, and I just trying by myself, and I learn from it by myself. Back in the day, there was not so much YouTube kind of film about tattooing, but just trying on myself. And then at the end, after a couple of weeks, I met an old friend, and he told me like, hey, with my friends, other friends, we are start tattooing also, but they know that I also start tattooing, but I also design tattoo, but it's more like tribalism. Is back in the day, most the design I do is more Polynesian, Maori, but inspired. It's not real the traditional, but I was get inspired by. So that's my start actually, by just doing by myself. So my left leg is my practicing leg. And actually after a couple of years doing by myself and learning from each other, from those guys, we opened a tattoo shop in Leiden. And then back in the day also I just focusing on tribalism. That at the beginning I was not interested about Indonesian tattoo, because I didn't know. I only know about Dayak tattoo. I think that's the well-known style of Indonesia, the Dayak. So, but from the other style I didn't know. I just starting that kind of style when I met Ade and Durga, and then I realized like, man, we have a lot of nice things in Indonesia, you know. It's so much, so a lot of arts and craft things, and then I started interested in Indonesian stuff. I live in Holland, you know. I'm not living in Indonesia, so it just for me it's quite difficult to to find something, you know, what really Indonesian. But I got the luck that in Holland we have a lot of museum like Tropen Museum and the Volkskunde Museum, and they have a lot of Indonesian collection and also tattoo collection, you know, drawing, information, documentary. So I was focusing on that kind of stuff, learning about all the style, but because of my background is doing fashion, my focus was on pattern, motif, you know, also motif from the cloth, what they make like ikat and batik and kain tenun, those all the different styles of the print, textile print. So because of my background, I was more focusing on that pattern. So until now, I am still using that kind of pattern as inspiration for my tattoo design. I have a shop, or actually a private studio in Den Haag. I really like work like one-on-one. So I put a lot of time to invite my client to the shop first, to meet and greet and to talk about them and listen their story. And then from that part, then I can make a design for themselves. You know, tattoo is private. You know, I'm honored that I can tattoo someone. I can use someone's skin, you know, for doing my art. So and that kind of background thought I really like, you know. And also nowadays we trying to use old stuff, old information, and to make it new things. Even the technique now, I work quite long with machine, and I learned hand tapping at my friend's shop, Durga. I went to Indonesia and learned all the hand tapping technique and you know how they work. When I'm back home to Holland, I'm using also hand tapping for a while. Only the stretchers, the kids in Holland, the European kids, they're not used to it, to sit back on the ground and stretching for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So it's annoying, you know. Then after 1 hour, they're complaining, "Oh shit, I can't focus." So for me, it's quite difficult to because most of the hand tapping that they use with 2 people. The artist doing the tattooing, and the stretchers stretch the skin. So then the artist can work quite well and quite fast. Without, it's quite difficult. You can do that, but it takes more time and it's more painful for the client. So I skipped that, and then for a while. But then I thought, but there's in Indonesia, there's also more technique than only hand tapping. So I found the hand poking, you know, just like hand poking, and I just do some small investigation, and there is some part of Indonesia they don't hand tap, they hand poke. So and then I work with hand poking also, and sometimes I combine it with machine and hand poking because some client want to feel how it is to get tattoo by machine and by hand poke. So I combine it, and that's why I really like to have one-on-one session. And most of the time I also only have 1 client a day, so I can focus on that person's self and nothing else. So and that's why I choose for a private studio. I give also that kind of experience to the client, you know, because I think I'm not want to talk badly about the walk-in shop, right? Because it's what I see the last time is just like a number. Many people like, okay, you want this? Sit down or back. For me, I like to listen to their story, you know, also from the Indonesian people, the Indo, you know, because many of them, especially the elders, struggling a lot in Europe, you know, and then by telling the story, the client will understand also about what's happening and why. So yeah, the Indo people are the forgotten generation in Holland. So actually the Indo or the Indonesian people make Dutch country actually, more rich than what there was in the past. So things like that.